Hello and welcome to episode 1 of the W word. That's W for wellness. Now, this is going to be every single time with me, Anna Whitehouse, and our resident expert who knows what she's talking about, Kimberly. If you want to introduce yourself.
Sure. Yeah. My name is Kimberly Wilson. I'm a chartered psychologist and author of How to Build a Healthy Brain. So I'm here to bring all the facts and science about wellness and mental health.
I'll just bring the chat. Without the science. We're also going to be introducing you to a celebrity guest in a bit. But just want to say, this podcast is basically to kind of deconstruct the buzzword like wellness. People have been using it everywhere and we want to just get to it. What is it? What does it mean in 2020? We're going to be tackling like strange trends. Yeah, wait for it. We're going to be speaking to celebrity guests about their wellness routine. Now get your pillows plumped, lie down, because we're going to be talking sleep therapy. And all I'm going to say is I need some of that. Now, this series is made possible by Arla LactoFREE, which is basically all about giving inner strength to do what feels good for you. So you basically just do you. Overcoming like what life throws at you. That's the big stuff, the small stuff, the everything in between stuff. But for now, I would like to introduce you to Matt Willis, a teenage icon. I was going to say I had you on my wall, but my sister did. So I have seen you on my wall, my sister's wall. A musician, TV star, man who needs no introduction. How are you doing? Welcome to the podcast.
I'm really good. Thanks for having me.
So we're going to kick off with a really punchy topic, 2020.
Yeah.
How are you doing?
I'm surprisingly good. You know, I've kind of, I don't know. It's weird, isn't it? Because overall, I've loved it. If I think about it, I've had an amazing kind of lockdown has been so challenging, but kind of epic, you know, for me and my family. Kind of like me and my wife both work quite kind of crazy jobs that kind of take us away from home quite a lot. So, so to have this uninterrupted time of like 15 weeks at home, the 5 of us has just been kind of beautiful and amazing.
Well, it's kind of the best and worst, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's like this connected family time in the context of a pandemic. It's sort
Yeah.
It's sort of
Yeah.
like, this is good but bad. It's it's kind of two worlds. But I think
Yeah.
family's been a really big word that everybody's sort of used
Yeah.
post-lockdown. It's like either you've gone off the walls, going crazy with your family, or you've
Yeah.
actually felt more connected. There's no in between.
Yeah.
But one thing we wanted to talk about was we're going to put on the table sleep therapy. Like I'm going to start with, how was your sleep last night? On a scale of like 1 to 10, where would you sit in your sleep last night?
I'd say sleep last night was probably an 8,
Wow.
maybe a 9. I'm a bit obsessed with sleep. Like, I'm sure we're going to get into this, but I'm becoming a little bit too obsessed with it. Actually, the one day I don't have my tracker on, like I've got like a fitness tracker which tracks my sleep and is very kind of meticulous about results and numbers and things like that. So I have different routines that I do, and I test them to see what gets me better deep sleep, more REM sleep, all these kind of things. And if I do things differently, it affects my sleep in different ways. So I am a little bit obsessed with having the perfect night's sleep. I have not yet had that, but I'm close.
What, the Big 10?
The Big 10. Never had 100%. But,
I don't think I've ever felt jealous of a person after you talk about the sleep tracker.
my God, I'm obsessed. I love it so much. But I bought it for recovery from workouts because I was kind of struggling to recover from workouts as much as I wanted to, and I was like, what's going on? So I bought this thing that kind of tracks that, and it just so happens that it tracks your sleep as part of your recovery. So I was like, oh, what's this about? And oh my God, it opened a can of worms. And I'm now like for instance, last night I had I had about 76%, but like I took my GABA and my CBD oil and my sleep stack and my my magnesium and stuff. I was like, what's different about last night than the night before when I took everything and it wasn't the same? So
I might just want to.
I had a feeling you might want to
So
interject.
much to deconstruct.
Yeah.
So we need to talk.
Yeah.
I'm very happy that you're, invested in your sleep. That's great. We know
Okay.
sleep is so important for mental health.
Yeah.
There is, though, a growing concern among sleep researchers about this new thing called orthosomnia, which is an obsession with perfect sleep. And
Oh, gosh. Okay.
the worry is that people are actually going to start making themselves anxious because they're trying to get perfect sleep. And as we all know, perfect is impossible.
Yes.
So I'm just going to throw that out there.
Yeah. but you can reach
80%
for
is
it.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think what we're trying to say is, Matt, just hand us the tracker and the CBD oil. put it down.
Okay. Yeah, I maybe I think you might pick up on a theme that if there is something that you can possibly take too far, I will or am at the moment.
Superb.
Okay.
Hence why you were in one of the most successful bands of
Okay.
all time. There we go. So sleep therapy, going to put it on the table. I mean, I need it, whatever it is. I often wonder if just removing children from your life would be the therapy. So, but I did a light Google, as my mum would say, the Google. I went into the Google, and apparently it just combines psychology, therapy, and meditation. I'm probably preaching to the converted because Kimberly knows way more than I do about it. But Matt, I've kind of got visions of you sort of back in the day tearing it up in Busted. Like, how has your sleep been through the years, and how's it shifted, and where do you sit now?
I mean, it was when I think back to then, it was non-existent. Like it was but I could do okay then. Like I didn't notice anything was wrong. Like literally, like if I'd look at my watch and go, if I go to sleep now, I've got 94 minutes till I have to be up. That's perfect. You know, like and I fall asleep straight away and wake up and go wicked, you know. But now, like if I get under 7 hours, I'm like, God damn it. You know, so it's yeah. But then again, if I'm on tour, everything goes out the window because after a show or a gig, I'm so buzzing. I can't sleep for hours. Like, so I have to find something really boring to do to kind of chill myself out and kind of get in some kind of different zone. Otherwise, which doesn't involve watching anything on a screen. Because I tried to do that. I was like, I'll just watch a show. And that doesn't work because I can never get back to sleep. I end up watching it till 5 a.m.
Can you imagine with the boys on tour bringing out the sleep tracker? Can you imagine, like, guys?
Oh,
guys,
they
I need
know,
the perfect
they know
10.
fully well. They're fully briefed about my weirdness, about everything. They know far too much about me.
So you kind of had no routine back there, and
Yeah.
now you've got what seems like quite a tight routine.
Yeah, which is impossible if you're on a tour bus with 15 roadies and you, and it's loud. And my band is quite party, so it's kind of like
Just talk us a bit through that, the party.
well, it's like
what would happen?
Like normally the other two don't get up till 4 in the afternoon.
Okay.
So they will get up on the bus at 4 and kind of stroll onto stage and do sound check, go back in, eat in the venue, and then we'll probably start drinking and then go on stage and have a show. This was my life as well. I'm not belittling it. This was an amazing life that I had for a few years until I took it a bit too far and went the wrong way. But
Just a
it
little
was
side
fun.
note
It
there.
was- it was, but they'll do that and then they'll kind of do the show and it's amazing and then they'll carry on. The party will carry on and wherever we're going to next, we'll drive there. Like if it's in Europe, you can be on the bus overnight. So it's kind of you know, it's and it's an all night kind of thing, you know, which is then there's me in my bunk with my eye mask on and my headphones on, listening to some weird noise. It goes like this, so I can sleep.
Like you're back in fetal position.
Exactly,
You know, you're back in the
100%.
womb.
I'm in my womb bunk. Yeah, loving my life.
Because I was thinking when I was going into this interview, I was like, oh, he might not have heard of sleep therapy, you know, but actually it sounds like you probably could tell me a bit more about sleep therapy than I can tell you about.
I'm a real loser. I know far too much about far too many things. Yeah, but not enough about any of them.
What do you know about it? Do you know anything about sleep therapy?
No, I looked on the Google too on the way here because which all sounds familiar because like for instance, my wife had a problem with sleeping for a little while and she had like a Headspace app or something and like we would put that on before bed and it really helped. It helped her loads.
All
like
I'm
these
going to
kind of
say on a side note is Matthew McConaughey reading a bedtime story to you has two very differing effects.
Tell me about these two effects.
I'm going to sleep. Ooh, it's such a sexy voice. It's a tricky contrasting thing, but
it must be. Yeah.
Totally agree. It's brilliant. Like those kind of apps really, really help.
Yeah.
But do you worry about your lack of sleep? I mean, you've kind of covered this a little bit earlier, but does it give you a sense of anxiety, like Kimberly was sort of saying?
Yeah, I don't feel as good. Like I'm obsessed with kind of being on form. Like it kind of over the last couple of years, I felt what feeling great feels like, and now everything else is just not good enough. now I just have to look after certain things, and everything kind of, and I feel really good and I kind of perform really well and I feel like I'm on a keel. And if one of them goes down, maybe it's not that much of an effect, but it will play on my mind. It's going to impair me in some way.
I think that's where what I'd like to talk to Kimberly about is sleep therapy, like, what is it? Like,
Yeah.
is it, can it help us?
Please?
So,
Okay.
I mean, there's a lot of different definitions for sleep therapy. So and maybe it's worth starting out with the fact that actually, when you're talking about apps helping and being really helpful for sleep, that's probably really true, because most of the things that stop us from sleeping aren't pharmacological, they're actually psychological. So in the UK and in the US, the main, the frontline treatment for sleep problems isn't a sleeping pill, it's cognitive behavioral therapy. So it's a type of therapy called CBT for insomnia. And it's about helping people to understand the reasons that they're not sleeping, any anxious or unhelpful thoughts they're having about sleep, the process of sleep, so you can start to build a healthy sleep routine. There's another definition for sleep therapy, which is associated with yoga. It's called yoga nidra. And it's about getting to a state somewhere between wakefulness and sleepiness. So deeply relaxed. The body is fully relaxed, almost like at the end of a yoga session, you're in Shavasana. And so that you've withdrawn all of your senses and you're in a deep state of relaxation. And that can also help, again, to take away the psychological triggers that will stop you from sleeping. So there are lots of ways, but basically we're thinking about how to help you think better about sleep and stop your brain from getting in the way of you having a good night's rest.
Because I think a lot of people say words like sleep therapy, and it seems like another thing, a wellness trend that you just kind of have to do. But actually, it's quite a lifeline for people, right?
Poor sleep is one of the main triggers for mental distress, and it just really undermines your psychological resilience. We know that when people aren't sleeping enough, you have greater feelings of anxiety, you're more likely to feel paranoid. In extreme cases, it can trigger psychosis. So sleep is so crucial for well-being, which is why psychologists are so happy that people are taking it more seriously. Maybe not so seriously, but
Matt, just take it back. One or two.
But we really do want people to understand that there's nothing kind of macho about not getting any sleep or trying to push through. You're not helping yourself. You're actually hurting your brain in quite a significant way.
But can you have too much sleep? So, like, let's say Matt hits his perfect 10. Like, I've heard people say, like, they feel more tired when they have too much sleep. Is that a scientific thing or is that psychological?
No, you can have too much sleep, but that tends to happen when you don't wake up when your body wants you to wake up, right? So if you keep hitting snooze, or you should get up at 7, but you've got nothing to do, so you stay in bed till 9. Actually, what that then does is to kind of tick you out of your circadian rhythm, and that just messes up your wakefulness. So you can have too much sleep, and sleep disorders are associated with other things. People who are depressed tend to sleep more as well, but if you're waking up in your normal cycle and if you're getting to bed early enough, most people can't have too much sleep.
So is there warrant in this thing that's the sleep routine, having like a set time when you go to bed, a set time you wake up, not changing that for weekends, which everyone is probably guilty of, right? Is that
yeah,
a good
no,
thing?
Absolutely. Your body and your brain, which obviously are all the same thing, all related, really like routine. Everything that your body does works on either circadian or ultradian rhythms, which are shorter than 24 hours. And so, yeah, absolutely. The thing about a routine, and where people sometimes go wrong, is that they try to force a routine. So they'll look one up in a book and say, or find an influencer and say, oh, that's the one for me. And really, your routine needs to be personalized.
So that's why Matt would have struggled on the fun bus, like, because the routine, I imagine, was not there. So do you have like a routine at the moment? Like, can you talk us through from like kids down? There must be no. I mean, you've got all the stuff.
I have a very strict routine.
Okay, talk us through it.
Okay.
From like what point do we start winding down?
Would you want to start from the morning or the evening?
Oh, I think let's just start from the evening, because we could be here for
start
quite
from
a while.
Sleep routine, right? Sleep routine's pretty chill. Like, I have to be asleep by 11. Okay. That's kind of like so I normally tend to go to bed at 10:30, unless I'm on tour, because I'm still on stage at that time. But then
you just walk off.
Then I just walk off.
Done.
Yeah. Finish the last chord and go. But no, it's so I'm always asleep by 11, so I go to bed at 10:30. So I take my sleep supplements at it's my nighttime supplements at 10, maybe 9:45. And I've had a bone broth before I go to bed, and I kind of and then I have my sleep supplements and I go to bed, and and I turn on my sleep tracker before I go to bed. So it's not too crazy. It's not too
really
crazy.
sexy scenes you're setting.
Yeah, I know. I'm really sexy. Yeah. And nothing
Got
can
the
interrupt
sleep
that
tracker
time.
on.
Exactly. Got my sleep.
That's socks.
Listening to Matthew McConaughey in the background.
Exactly. Yeah. Do I sleep or not? Yeah. But
I suppose
yeah.
how, because it seems like you've been on quite a journey with your sleep. So how have you started to see the sort of red alert almost for when things are not doing very well? How have you connected like your mind and body and gone, okay, red flag, need to do this, this, and this?
Also, I forgot. I have these glasses which I wear, which are blue blocker glasses, which I wear from 9 p.m. So at 9 p.m, I wear. You talk about sexy. These things are sexy. My wife absolutely hates them. She can't stand that I do it, but she's getting more used to it as time goes on. But they're like an orange lens that I put on because we watch TV at night. We're like everyone, I think, but if I watch TV at night, the blue light affects me, which affects my melatonin production, which will affect my sleep. So I wear these orange glasses, which turns everything orange, and they're the most hideously ugly things you've ever seen in your life. And I wear them every night.
To be honest, just throw in some thrombosis socks.
Exactly. Exactly.
That is.
So I'm actually looking into right now. There's a thing called I can't remember what it's called, like a chili pad or something, which kind of sets your bed at a certain temperature. So it kind of regulates, because I get quite hot in the night, and I've always got the kick the covers off and stuff. And so, but this regulates your body temperature by keeping you cool. And if you're cooler, you get a better night's sleep.
I am every day
Striving
is a
for
school
100.
day.
Yeah, exactly.
Do you
but then
sleep with one leg out of the duvet?
I sleep with everything out of the duvet. I sometimes have a little bit over my midriff, but I'm just kind of like this. But I'm a kicker. I'm one of those guys.
Wow,
yeah.
Lucky Emma is all I'm going to say.
I know.
Lucky Emma.
Girl. But I used to always believe that I had to get 8 hours. So that was the thing in my head. I was like, I have to get 8 hours. I have to get 8 hours. But actually, there's no difference if I get 7 or 8. Like if I get 7, I feel great. I perform well. So I was fixated on must having 8 hours sleep. When actually, the longer I've done it, I'm actually like, well, everything seems to be okay, and I feel good on 7. So,
that's what I mean about it being personalized. I think people take these numbers, or they take a bedtime. I think that it must apply to all humans everywhere. And actually, it's worth taking a little bit of time to work out what's right for you, what works for you, and what's personal for you in terms of best outcomes.
There's nothing worse than looking at the clock and knowing you've got like a newborn or something that's going to be up in like 4 hours, and you're like, you start counting the minutes. You're like, I'm only going to get 34 minutes. That's not enough. It's not enough, guys. Not enough. So basically, the summary is remove the children, get a sleep
once again.
Get a sleep once again.
Yeah, get a chili pad, get rid of the kids, and you're set.
Boom.
Yeah.
So it's just felt like every day's a school day here with you two. But on more generally,
I feel like I'm being psychoanalyzed. Everything I say, I'm like, oh my God, am I saying too much?
No, I just feel like you know more than anyone I know about sleep. But what does sort of wellness mean to you? It's like a word I feel like it's bandied about quite a bit. But what does it actually signify to you?
I don't know. I don't really use that word, but I suppose it's kind of how I kind of live my life now. I think it's like health to me right now is one of the most important things. Like, if I'm honest, like for me in my life, because if I feel good and I perform well, I'm a better musician. I'm a better actor. I'm a better husband. I'm a better father. If I'm feeling a bit cranky, a bit rubbish, a bit anxious, a bit, all those things come into play with every other aspect of my life. I'm not very good at hiding how I feel. Like if I feel bad, you will know about it. Do you know what I mean? Like I'm not very good at kind of controlling
I will scream.
I will. I will die. So I do. So I'm very aware of that. And I like feeling good. Like I love training. Like I turned lockdown into a get as strong as I possibly can exercise. So I was like, what can I do? Because the gyms aren't open. So I have a garage and I have some weights in there, some very, very basic stuff. And I was like, right. So for 14 weeks, I just lifted every day. I was just like obsessed with getting numbers on a board, of getting how heavy I could lift and how much I could improve my lifting. And I like things like that. And I like being able to recover from those workouts and work out the next day. And I like working out what makes me tick and makes me work better.
You do you, hon.
I know. I'm aware of myself. Yeah.
So Kimberly, we've talked about Matt's sleep journey. journée. I'm going to say it in French to make it a bit more exotic. But is there definitely a link then between sleep or lack of and wellness?
Absolutely. Really, sleep is the cornerstone of good mental health, psychological well-being, and literally your brain health. So, for example, if you're not getting enough sleep, your brain can't clear out the daily buildup of toxins that accumulate just from its everyday activity. So you just kind of get a buildup of kind of gunk in your brain if you're not sleeping properly, and that can lead to problems later down the line, and as well as having an effect on mood. So if you're not properly slept, then you have problems managing your mood is much more volatile, or much more likely to take risks and not be able to assess what risks you're taking,
which is what Matt was saying earlier, that you know, like you kind of your like fuse burns out quicker.
And the parts of your brain that control your emotions, so the front part of your brain deals with kind of rational thinking, organizing, goal-directed behavior, and then there's the part of your brain which is really managing emotions and looking for threats. They stop talking to each other if you haven't had enough sleep, which is why you're much more likely to be anxious. You're much more likely to interpret someone's facial expressions as hostile if you're underslept than if you had a proper night's sleep. So it changes your emotional responses and your social interactions. So sleep is absolutely crucial.
Wow, that's quite fascinating and quite useful, especially, you know, in lockdown when you're staring at your partner, getting really angry with them, going, I just need more sleep.
I just need a nap.
I don't dislike you.
I'll come back to you in half an hour.
I don't need to leave.
I don't need
more sleep.
I don't need to leave. Get me more sleep. So, Matt, we've kind of touched on you setting up a sort of gym in your garage.
Yes.
And sleep. Like, what other kind of wellness things have you been doing just to keep yourself on the road?
Well, I kind of like my morning routine is pretty set. Like I love mornings. I love it so much. Like my kids get up for school at 7 a.m. maybe 7:15 if I'm having a nice morning.
That's a veritable lion.
Yeah, exactly. So they will get up. We live very close to the school, so like it's like probably 7:15 most mornings. So I will get up between 5:30 and 6 a.m. and I will have my morning time before I wake them up. And which I love. So I'll wake up and have some water, and I'll drink about a pint of water, and then I'll sit in front of. I've got a red light, which I sit in front of, and I meditate for 10 minutes. I've tried so hard to do more than 10 minutes, but that's all I can kind of do without feeling like I'm doing it. You know, so but like 10 minutes I can deal with, maybe 12 some days, you know, and I'll meditate in front of this red light. Which
and what
is,
do you do in terms of meditation? Like,
I have an app. It's called Waking Up. There are lots of apps out there. I'm sure they all do the same thing. I just gravitate towards this one, and they taught me through it, and I kind of go through a kind of 10 to 12 minute meditation. It's mostly breath work, and then and I sit in front of this red light, which is I initially looked at it because I had quite bad acne throughout my whole life, and it was kind of good for acne scarring and things like that. So I kind of looked into it for that. Then I found that it was great for like workout recovery and certain other things, and kind of skin health and brain health and all this kind of stuff. And it's kind of still like emerging science. It's kind of a bit niche, but I love it because in the summer I always tend to wake up and seek sunlight. I kind of always feel like my day goes better if I'm in the sunlight as soon as I get up. And it's not always possible living in England. So I go in front of this red light, and it kind of seems to have the same effect. And then I do that for 10, 12 minutes. And then I have some coffee. I am a little bit obsessed with coffee. And I have a certain coffee ritual, which I do every day, which I love. And I make the perfect cup of coffee, or as perfect as can be. And for me. And
perfectly
then
imperfect.
And then I have 1 to 2 of those. And then I get on this exercise bike that I've got for 30 to 45 minutes.
I'm exhausted listening to that.
It's like a full day, right? Like
It goes like this, like that. It's very structured, you know. And then I get off that, and I have a shower, which I finish with 2 minutes cold shower, and I feel incredible.
Matt, you're talking about a wellness retreat here, like
every morning,
every
morning without fail, you know. But my day is remarkably better if I do this routine than if I don't.
That's really interesting.
And I've kind of catered it to myself. There's a few things which sometimes I won't do. Like I didn't do the meditation. If I don't do the meditation for more than 3 days, I feel it. You know, I feel like like we talked about with sleep. I kind of feel like I'm very easy to respond to something very quickly. Like I have something in me that wants to argue, you know, and I'm trying to control that. So I'm trying to give space between my thoughts and my actions. And when I meditate, I am able to have that space. I'm kind of able to go, that annoyed me. How do I feel about that? Rather than go, oi, rah, So I'm trying hard to not be.
It's fascinating to see it's almost two different people with a different kind of routine and different
Yeah.
wellness like perspective, just how a day can, because I mean, as people say you get out of bed the wrong side. I've only got one side I can get out of my bed. Sometimes it's like it can be really bad for a very long time. But I was thinking, like, when I was doing the Google on you, your Wikipedia is like War and Peace, like you've done some things, and it's all very easy to be sort of self-deprecating about things and go, yeah, that was a period of my time, but it must have taken some serious inner strength to get on that stage, and to go, I am in this band, I'm doing this, I am enough, I'm good. Can you just talk me about where you found that strength to go, I'm going for this?
To be honest, I mean, I don't know if I ever had that kind of I'm enough, this is okay, I deserve to be doing this. I always felt like, oh my God, what is going on? Or the whole time.
Really?
Like, I don't really feel like it now, but at the time I really felt like that, because I think, I went to drama school and all I wanted to be was an actor. And I kind of and me and my friend James kind of wrote some silly songs in our bedroom, mucking around on a 4-track, kind of playing music to each other that made us laugh and we found fun, exciting. And before we knew it, we were signed with a record deal and touring to thousands of people. Like, it wasn't like I never planned to be a pop star, or in that kind of industry. It just happened, and by accident, kind of one thing happened after the other, and then, oh my God, we're doing this. So it was kind of a very weird transition.
Did you feel like there was any sort of support that you maybe gave yourself or other people gave you for that massive transition? I mean, going from in your bedroom to the O2 Arena, seemingly overnight, right? It happened very quickly.
Within a few years, yeah. I mean, we started the band when we just left school. So we started the band when we were 16, and we didn't release a record till we were 19. So there was 3 years of kind of, not doing much, kind of mucking around each other's bedrooms and kind of.
Did you know it was going to be big though? Like, when did you start going, right, this is about to take off?
I kind of when we got signed, everything moved really quickly. So it was as soon as we signed a record deal, everything just went bang, 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 bang. And suddenly we had a photo shoot. So we our second ever photo shoot. We had one for the album cover, and then our second photo shoot was for Smash Hits magazine, and it was for the cover. We were like, what? We haven't released a song, we haven't released a single, but they were going to put us on the cover. So I was like, oh, this is. That's a big deal.
Maybe they were like, this guy's got a great sleep routine.
Yeah, exactly. At the time, I did not. Yeah. So, I lived on pot noodles at the time. So it was.
Was that your wellness routine?
That was my wellness routine.
Can you talk me through the Matt from then, his wellness routine, and we've obviously got the Matt from now.
What would they say to each other? I would have a very harsh word with myself. Yeah, pull myself aside and go, now listen.
My friend, so you had pot noodle, you were living off pot noodle.
Yeah, and takeaways and, whatever we could. We didn't know anything about anything.
Did you exercise?
And not ever. That's what we found so interesting was when we got into the pop industry, we were like, we didn't aspire to be this or admire this world. We kind of found ourselves suddenly in it, so we kind of always thought we'd be in a van touring the Warped Tour, so it was kind of a very strange thing for us.
Now, in terms of your music journey, is there one moment you can kind of pinpoint where you had to really dig deep to go, okay, you can do this? I mean, we all have wobbles and we don't sometimes think we can do the things we end up doing. But can you remember a moment where you had to kind of dig deep, find your inner strength and kind of get on that stage perhaps, or something else?
I remember when we first started, I had a place at a really well-known drama school and I wanted it more. My whole life I wanted this. And I couldn't believe I got it. And I got a place and we were just signing a record deal. And it was kind of I kind of auditioned and kind of did all that stuff, kind of still knowing the band was kind of doing stuff. But I didn't really ever take that seriously. I kind of thought it was a pipe dream that we were just mucking around with. And that was kind of what I wanted to do. And then it came to the crunch. I was like, I have to choose what I'm going to do if I'm going to. And at the time I was living in James's spare room in his parents' house, or I was going to go to a drama school in London. I was like, what do I do here? And I just kind of, I just followed my heart. I just went, you know what? This isn't going anywhere. whereas this is something which is happening right now, and it kind of feels like this is me, and this is a part of me, and these songs are a representation of who I am, and it kind of, you know, so I kind of made that choice that, you know, I'm going to stick with this. Plus, I was having the best time ever, you know, doing it, you know, so I was like, I'm just going to do this. And so I kind of chose not to go to drama school, which was
I think what you're saying is you went with your gut.
I went with my gut.
What we're going to be talking about next.
Great.
So we spoke about like phrases like gut instinct, going with your gut. And I think we have to say this podcast would not be possible without Arla LactoFREE. Now, their products really help if you've got a slightly sort of sensitive stomach. I use their milk on my cornflakes every morning. Nice little side note there for everyone there. But digestion aside, we sort of spoke earlier about you know, following your heart, going with your gut, making that decision between sort of drama school and actually going for it with Busted. When was the last time you went with your gut sort of more recently? Like when you thought, I'm just going to listen to it?
So funny you say that, because I had the exact same decision to make recently. Like in September last year, kind of Busted had been touring for 4.5 years. We kind of, and we had to have a discussion. I was like, you know, I kind of want to go back to drama school. I never did it, and it's kind of something that's been eating at me ever since. So we decided we're going to take a bit of time out. James and Charlie are going to do their own thing, and I went back to drama school in September last year.
Did you?
So kind of so I didn't leave the band. We're still a band, and we're still going to do more things. But it's just something which has kind of like always been on my mind. That I never completed that part of my life, and I kind of always felt like I needed to. So it's been great. Then lockdown happened and the school shut. You know, so but for 6 months it was wicked. You know,
that's what most people say. For 6 months it was great until 2020.
Until 2020 came. You know, but you know, I'll finish my course. I'm sure we'll reopen and I'll finish my course. But it's been and that was a hard thing to do, to kind of I think to kind of, because everything in you know, we all work in industry where, you know, it's a bit temperamental at times. You know when your next thing is going to happen. You know, so to kind of turn down something which was working and earning and doing all that kind of stuff to follow something which was just kind of something which was very unknown was took a bit of persuasion in my own head.
It was brave.
Yeah, but I think I made the right choice. I was really happy, and I'm Busted is going to be part of my life forever. It's very different being in a band as adults as it is to be in a band with kids, because when you're 18, 19, everything's such a big deal. You're like, oh my God, you know, like, you know, we said this, and, you know, like, when really now adults sit down and go, what do you want to do? What do you want to do? I kind of want to do this. Is that cool? Okay, cool. You know, great. It's really easy.
But that's not front page of Smash Hits material.
It's definitely not front page.
We're
of
really
Smash Hits.
polite band.
Yeah, we're really kind of civilized.
We get on so well.
Yeah,
Really
we're grown ups.
sit
Yeah,
around
it's
on a
really
sofa.
boring. Yeah, exactly.
Quick one for you, Kimberly. Like, can you train your gut instinct, or is that a really stupid question? No, there's no stupid questions here. I'm going to go with my gut. Can you sort of train your gut in a way to like help you make decisions?
Yeah, I
way?
think what we're talking about is intuition, right? And
Yeah.
being able to trust and follow your intuition. And I think that's easier. It's easier with practice. And one of the things that people get out of the habit of doing is listening to their intuition. We all want to have these very rational decisions and be very kind of cognitive and very kind of neat and cold in our thinking. But actually, your emotions are embodied. Your emotions are in your body. And what you feel as your gut instinct, or as you say, following your heart, is that unconscious information that comes from your body. And that takes practice to listen to, but the more you do it, the stronger it'll get. And as you kind of demonstrated, the more you can guide your life based on those things. And it's probably worth saying that there are in life no perfect answers, and you just got to choose the best thing for you in that moment. And that comes from following that intuition and tuning in.
And I'm just going to put at this point McBusted on the table, because that must have been another massive leap of faith in a way, to join a form a supergroup, right?
Yeah. It was,
what were you thinking at that point? I mean, not what you thinking. It's great.
What were you thinking? Yeah, I ask myself that nightly.
We're here to help with your wellness needs.
It was a really weird thing, like, because it kind of came out of nowhere, really. You know, like, it was a really kind of weird experience for me, because I was in EastEnders at the time, and I just signed a contract, and I was going to kind of be doing that for a while, and then it kind of I got approached by Busted's old manager, And James from Busted kind of came to me and went, "We've got this idea, and what do you think?" And I was like, "That's absolutely crazy, but yeah, sounds well fun." I love McFly. They're like some of my best friends. And like outside in the time since Busted broke up and McBusted starting, I became really close to them. Like I was with them a lot. Like, we're really good mates of mine. We hung out all the time. So it's like, I'm going on tour with James and some of my mates. Sounds wicked. Never did we think it was ever going to be really big. Like, we kind of thought it'd be a laugh, maybe one tour, we might get some venues out of it might be fun. And it ended up being absolutely massive. It was just very bizarre.
I mean, it's taking two great things and amplifying them. I mean,
it was kind of bigger than the sum of its parts, which is so weird because it's bigger than Busted or McFly have ever been. Like, it's like we headlined Hyde Park. Like, Busted and McFly never do that. So it's but then it's, you take it out of that and it's like, it's a really weird, it doesn't really work, but for some reason it did and people loved it and we had the best time doing it. But then we had to, then it's that thing again. It's about making those difficult decisions because everything was fun and it was a good laugh and it was working and going well. But then there was the sniff of doing Busted again with Charlie. Mm-hmm. And so we had to decide, we're going to stop doing this and we're going to go to the unknown, which is Busted again with Charlie Simpson, So we had to make that decision.
It feels like you've just been following your instinct, actually, in a way that a lot of people perhaps don't. I think we sometimes overthink things, overanalyze things. But do you have any routine for kind of keeping, this is quite a sort of bizarre question, keeping your gut healthy? Tell me how you keep your gut healthy, Matt.
In which way? In a health way?
Health
or
way.
In my decision making?
I think both. Because I think, correct me if I'm wrong, Kimberly, they're both totally interlinked, aren't they? Like, if your gut's healthy, you're clearer of thought. They're both sort of very interlinked. So what do you do? I mean, obviously your morning routine is pristine. What else do you do around that to kind of feel better?
Well, I have quite a strict diet. I have things that I just don't eat. Like I'm lactose intolerant. I am gluten intolerant as well. So it kind of took me a long time to realize that, but once I remove those from my diet, everything else seems to work really well. I don't deal very well with sugar. Like, it turns on something in my brain that says must eat all of it, so I tend to stay away from that. I take probiotics every day. Prebiotics I have in my food. I eat fermented food daily. I kind of look after that stuff very, very well, I think. Maybe a little bit too much.
But it's when you find something that really works, like the Arla LactoFREE soft cheese. I've just found myself eating it with a spoon when I came back from work the other day. When you're like, no, that's yogurt. That's yogurt, so you're meant to eat it like that.
I eat their yogurt every single night. Every single night. When this came up, I was like, dude, I eat their yogurt every single night. Like, I make it, I put a bit of whey protein in there, lactose-free whey protein, and I mix it up together and I put some blueberries in it and stick it in the freezer for 2 hours. And it's my nightly snack every night.
You know what? I'm coming back around to it. Emma is a lucky lady.
No, I've offered it every night for 2 years. She always says no. She always says no.
Well, Kimberly and I, we're in.
Yeah,
send it over ours.
Yeah. But then I heard something really, really interesting once, like for this guy. And he says he only has 2 answers to any question. I won't say what, I will try and, how can I say it? Right, okay. He has 2 answers to every question, which is either hell yeah or no. There's nothing in between. So like, I try to live by that. I'm like, do I want to do this? Hell yeah or no? If it's like, I don't know whether or not that's a no. So it's either hell yeah or no, which I think is really cool.
You need that on a t-shirt. That is your merch brand.
I know, right? Yeah.
For your wellness retreat.
He doesn't use hell. He uses another word. But it's either hell yeah or no. And I think that's a really cool way to live your life. If you can live like that, sometimes you have to make choices which are not necessarily what you'd love to do. But most of the time, if it's either hell yeah or no.
The one that didn't do me very well was it's better to regret the things you've done than the things you haven't. And I can definitely say there's some regrets.
Oh, right.
Anyway.
Yeah, I've never understood that saying.
No,
yeah.
Lots of regrets.
I've got some tortured events as well. Yeah.
Matt, you've been an absolute joy, a treasure, as my dad would say. So what are you going to take away from this podcast? It's going to get emotional now.
Do you know what? I've got to do a lot of thinking about this sleep thing. Because I am becoming a little bit obsessed by it. And some nights it will keep me awake thinking about it.
Which is okay.
I'm a little bit worried that I might be slipping in.
Yeah.
That's the point where I have to maybe rein it in a bit. Okay, So yeah, maybe. I mean, there's been a lot of talk of moderation in my life. You know, it doesn't seem to work very well for me, but I'll give it a go.
Yeah, well, I mean, you've got your 2 benchmarks, yes or no.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't see anything in between there. There's just no
go
grey,
or stop, yes or no,
green or red.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, yeah.
I mean, that's the perfect place to end. Thank you so much for joining us, Matt. I think, we've learned about sleep therapy. I'm feeling a little bit tired now listening to Matt's routine, if I'm being honest. Now, I hope you picked up some tips, and please let us know your thoughts on Arla, Lacto-Free, all the socials. Get involved and stay tuned for the next episode. And Kimberly, always a pleasure to have someone on the podcast who knows what they're talking about.
Thanks.
Other than you, Matt, who knows a hell of a lot. We're going to be back next time with a completely new wellness trend. But for now, bye, Matt.
Bye. Thank you.
You've been amazing. This is the W word, W for wellness. I think people have got that by now, but I'm just going to keep going. By Arla, Lacto-Free. See you soon. Be kind. And can everyone just get to bed now? I sound like my mum. Now, bed. How many times do you say that as a parent? Bed now.
Bed now.